Hello and a warm welcome to Federal's special program, Capital Beat. In a sudden turn of events, the Indian activist Sonam Wangchuk, who's been on a hunger strike for the last 20 days, he was forcibly removed from the protest site. Now, just few days back, what did the High Court say? Delhi High Court said that his health condition is such that it needs a daily monitoring. If his condition deteriorates, then the doctor needs to attend. But the High Court never said that he needs to be forcibly shifted out. But that's exactly what happened. As one woke up this morning at 7:30 around, the videos which came out from the protest site shocked everyone. And if you look at those visuals, Barani, if you're there backstage, and if you could play these visuals, this is the morning scenario around 7:30 when what we are told and what the reporters also have highlighted, that there were policemen disguised as doctors and in plain clothes. They reached up to the stage and then they forcibly tried to shift. But what was more dramatic was these white sheets. I mean, I just didn't understand what was the need to cover Sonam Wangchuk behind these white curtains or sheets, whatever you call, and then he was forcibly taken away to the Safdarjung hospital in Delhi. But the drama doesn't end there. Sonam Wangchuk's wife has been present there along with other members of the Cockroach Janta Party. They have been saying that his vital statistics are absolutely fine. The doctor had checked him last night. So what was the need of him being taken away? Look at those pictures. I don't know what to say. And look at the way, the manner in which he's being frisked away. Do we use the word shifted? Do we say that he's been almost abducted? It almost seems that he's been kidnapped away from the Jantar Mantar site. I mean, how do you describe this scenario at Jantar Mantar of a man who's been sitting on a hunger strike and his wife has just shot off a letter to the Safdarjung MS, and she said that she wants to shift him to a better medical facility and not Safdarjung Hospital. And she had sought his medical reports also. Her phone was not allowed. I just want to play out her soundbite, which she has just spoken to the reporters a short while back. Barani, if you have that bite of Sonam Wangchuk's wife, can we have that bite, please? Yeah.
सफदरजंग प्रिजन है ऐसा लग रहा है, इतने सारे पुलिस हैं उस फ्लोर पे, और जो 2.9 ये कह रहे हैं जिसके बेसिस पे ये
Can we boost the audio a little?
देना चाहते थे पोटेशियम, जो मैंने मना कर दिया है, वो 2.9 मेडिकली पॉसिबल नहीं है कि एक ही शाम में 4.3 से 2.9 आ जाए।
मैम, क्या आपको लग रहा है कि सोनम की हंगर स्ट्राइक तुड़वाने की कोशिश की जा रही है?
I think the audio is very faint, but what she's saying is
उनका जो भी उनका स्टेचर था वो अभी है नहीं। हाल ही में मैंने सुप्रीम कोर्ट में सोनम को बाहर निकालने का जो मुहिम चलाई थी, उसमें ये पता चल गया है कि हमारी जुडिशरी जो है वो कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है, हमारी पुलिस तो कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है ही, हमारा मीडिया भी बहुत हद तक कॉम्प्रोमाइज है। लेकिन क्योंकि सोनम के जो 30 साल के उनकी काम रहा है और तपस्या रही है, उनकी एक इतनी इज्जत और प्यार है लोगों के उसमें कि हर, चाहे वो जुडिशरी हो, चाहे वो पुलिस हो, चाहे वो मीडिया हो, और चाहे वो एग्जीक्यूटिव हो या जो भी हो, गवर्नमेंट के दबाव में कुछ भी बेशक वो करें, लेकिन हर एक के ज़मीर में ये मूवमेंट को हेल्प करने का ही जज्बा रहता है, और जिसकी वजह से आज तक ये यहाँ आया है। हाँ, उस समय उनका फास्ट तुड़वाया गया था, पर इस बार मुझे नहीं लगता कि ऐसे होने की कोई संभावना है, नहीं रखता। लेकिन जो ग्राउंड पे चेंज होता है उस पर ये होता है, तो वो मिनिस्टर को तो खुद ही रिजाइन करना चाहिए था, लेकिन उनका ज़मीर इतना जगा हुआ नहीं है, उन्होंने नहीं किया। लेकिन लेकिन इस देश का जो लोकतंत्र है वो मिनिस्टरों से नहीं चलता, लोगों से चलता है।
Okay, so basically she was speaking to the reporters. She's already shot off a letter to the Safdarjung MS. She's asked for a change of the hospital. She wants Sonam Wangchuk to be shifted to a better medical facility than Safdarjung. And then Abhijeet Dipke, he was also detained when Sonam Wangchuk was being taken away. According to the videos which are done by Abhijeet Dipke and his team members, that apparently Abhijeet Dipke went out to freshen himself And at that point of time, the police swooped in, and then Sonam Wangchuk was taken away. And then they sat and recorded a short video inside a car, which I saw, and he was saying that he was also detained, but he was freed only after Sonam Wangchuk was shifted out of Jantar Mantar. So, which is very clear that apparently this action was being planned. If you remember, last evening, the Delhi Police Commissioner has changed. All of a sudden, there were orders from the Home Ministry that there'll be a new police commissioner. Apparently, the earlier one, I think the Home Ministry wasn't too happy. That's what a report in Telegraph is saying. So, what was the reason? Is this an effort to end the Cockroach Party movement? All of them were planning to march up to the parliament on 20th. Chalo Sansad was being planned. And in fact, Sonam Wangchuk's wife was also heard saying that Sonam was planning to march up to the parliament. And just before that, in a sudden turn of events, look at these pictures which are coming live. And in fact, Abhijeet Dipke has spoken to all the people who were present at Jantar Mantar. And he said, in fact, he broke down while speaking. And he said that we were expecting a much more dignified action for Sonam Wangchuk, not like this, that he was forcibly taken away. And now Dipke sits on a hunger strike. So we'll try and discuss this, that what is the legal basis of an action like this? We never saw the court order saying that Sonam Wangchuk should be immediately shifted if his medical health deteriorates. Now, this is Abhijeet Dipke's 9:36 a.m. tweet. He's saying, I'm starting an indefinite hunger strike beginning right now. So, and he says, and in fact, I also heard him saying in one of the videos that if Delhi's Jantar Mantar movement, if they try and defuse, then there will be a Jantar Mantar created in various parts of the country, and it will be unstoppable. That is what he said. But let's try and understand and decode this entire action of the police. What is the legal basis? Does it look like a conspiracy? Was it being planned for many days? And all of a sudden, why did the policemen choose to disguise themselves as doctors? And how did they enter? So we'll try and understand all of this. Joining me this evening is Puneet Nicholas Yadav, political editor of The Federal. Thank you so much, Puneet, for joining. We have T.K. Rajlakshmi, senior journalist and political commentator. Thank you so much for joining, Rajlakshmi. And we have Pushpraj Deshpande, who's a policy expert and an author. Thank you so much, Pushpraj, for joining. And let me begin with Puneet. Puneet, what is the legal basis of all this? And if you look at the turn of events since last evening, the Delhi Police Commissioner was changed. And then the first big action the new commissioner takes up is shifting Sonam Wangchuk out of Jantar Mantar. What does it really show?
Well, there's no legal basis per se over here. This is purely a political move. And as you said in your opening, remarks, the Delhi High Court order does not. The Delhi High Court has not ordered that Mr. Wangchuk should be moved to a hospital. All that the Delhi High Court had said was that his health needs continuous monitoring, which the CJP activists and members, Abhijeet Dipke onwards, are all saying was anyway being done at Jantar Mantar every day. A health bulletin was issued. There was a team of doctors that was constantly present there, monitoring, the statistics of vital statistics of Mr. Wangchuk. So all of that was already happening. The Delhi police has nonetheless moved him, shifted him to Safdarjung. I'm told he's being kept at the new emergency block on the 8th floor of Safdarjung, and practically the entire floor has been emptied out to and they've put up barricades, etc. at the entrance to the new emergency block. Entry is being restricted. I shudder to think what would be the plight of a whole lot of other patients who go to Safdarjung. Safdarjung is not a hospital where you have just a few patients coming every few hours. It's just like AIMS. It's an extremely crowded hospital. So at an emergency ward, those kind of restrictions being put in for something like this, you know, which has no legal basis, which is clearly a political move. So, but that aside, the police action itself, you mentioned the change of the Delhi Police Commissioner, of course. Yes, that happened yesterday. And since the new commissioner took over, or since that order of Mr. Satish Golchar's removal and the appointment of Anurag Kumar as the new Delhi CP, since that order came in the public domain, all kinds of speculations have started of how the government was not happy with how with Mr. Golchar's handling of the protest, and that is why Anurag Kumar has been brought in.
Yes.
I, for one, do not believe that, because it is unconscionable to say that, you know, Satish Golchar would have gave permission to the protest without an approval from the Home Ministry, or the Home Ministry wanted Mr. Golchar to act in a certain way, and Mr. Golchar was in a rebellious mood, or all of that, and so Anurag Kumar was brought in. I don't think I find all of that to be a lot of bunk up, because everyone knows, and particularly over the last 12 to 13 years now, there can be no permission given for a political, quasi-political, or even an apolitical rally or protest at Jantar Mantar without the police first taking a nod from the Home Ministry, and certainly not for a protest like this. So, Mr. Golchar's transfer, the reasons may lie elsewhere. Whether it is with regard to the manner in which a whole lot of internal Delhi police transfers and postings had been happening over the last couple of months, which, if you speak to people in the Delhi police, they'll tell you that's caused a lot of raised eyebrows.
No, but Puneet, what does it look like?
That's a different matter.
Right, but at the first glance, if you see the turn of events which have happened since early morning, I'd like to just put out the tweet of Sonam Wangchuk's wife, as she said that nothing should be administered to him orally till the time we give the consent. Let's put out that tweet. Yes, this is a 8:49 a.m. tweet, where she says that I'm at Safdarjung Hospital in Delhi, where Wangchuk has been admitted. Nothing should be administered to him orally or intravenous without taking consent from me, his family, and his doctors, who've been monitoring his health for the past 20 days. Now, what are we to assume? Are the doctors going to forcibly administer him some intravenous dose? What are we to assume? And his wife has already asked him.
No, I don't think that these kind of speculations that are the doctors going to give him some kind of medication which he should not be given. Let's not go into that. We have no grounds to say that. Yes, there will be suspicions given the manner in which Mr. Wangchuk has been removed and kept at that hospital. It is absolutely justified for Gitanjali Angmo to have those kind of suspicions. But, let us also be responsible. We should not be, sitting and making insinuations at doctors in a hospital like Safdarjung. Ms. Angmo, the CJP activists, Mr. Wangchuk himself, they are definitely within their rights to ask for Mr. Wangchuk to be moved to a hospital of their choice, as Gitanjali Angmo has mentioned in her letter to the MS. She is well within her rights to demand that her husband should be moved to a hospital of their choice. She is also well within her rights to ask the hospital, what exactly are you administering to my husband? What kind of medication is being given? What are the reports? This whole operation shrouded in secrecy, where the hospital is not going to give you details of the medicines that are being administered or what the latest blood reports are suggesting. This is just not done. And it's obvious that this is going to cause a lot of suspicions, a lot of rumors and stuff. So the hospital authorities need to act very responsibly. I'm sorry to say we can't expect the government to act responsibly, because that's not been our experience. but at least the hospital authorities should do that. And they should put this to rest. If the because otherwise, yes, Ms. Angmo can move court and ask for relief from there. But why should it come to that? If the patient's wife, let's assume that Mr. Wangchuk is not in the condition to make a sound decision. The wife is there; she can make a decision. They should go by what she is saying. If they want if she wants to move Sonam Wangchuk to another hospital of her choice, or wants access to the medical reports, or wants access to the medication that is being administered, she should be given that.
Right. All right. I'll come to Pushparaj now. Pushparaj, what do these turn of events really indicate? It's autocratic, it's dictatorial, police have behaved forcibly. All that is quite evident, and I'm sure the international media is also watching. I was looking at a report on BBC, and also I think CNN also has covered it. What does one say about these turn of events, and what do you think was the big emergency? Why Sonam Wangchuk was shifted? Yes.
Very good afternoon to you, the panelists and our viewers, Niluji. See, firstly, Article 19(1)(a) and 19(1)(b) of India's Constitution guarantees the right to dissent and protest. This has been upheld by numerous Supreme Court judgments, whether it was Ramlila Maidan versus Home Secretary in 2012, Amit Sahni versus Commissioner of Police in 2020, and MKSS versus Union of India. Now, unlike how the UPA government tolerated and even engaged constructively with dissent, the BJP government has invariably vilified dissent and unleashed what is now characterized as lawfare to suppress protests in the last 12 years. Now, the BJP does not see protests as a constitutional right to be protected, but as a law and order problem. This is evident in the disgraceful manner in which the Delhi police has abducted. I don't know why the media is using the word removed. They have nothing short of abducted Sonam Wangchuk and is now possibly force feeding him, pretty much like the jail authorities did with Bhagat Singh and his comrades when they were on hunger strike within the jail. Now, this is par for the course for the BJP. Consider how it brutally suppressed the Olympians protesting for their dignities, or ex-servicemen demanding pensions, or farmers protesting for their rights. Not to mention Dr. G.D. Agarwal, who fasted for 111 days for the Ganga and then he passed away because the BJP just ignored him. The bitter truth is that the BJP simply cannot be moved into course correcting by Gandhian tactics like civil disobedience, hunger strikes, or satyagraha. Why? Because it does not see itself as accountable to Indians. After all, it wins not because we vote for them. It wins by manufacturing consent, by stealing mandates, by breaking governments and legislatures, and by removing citizens from the voter list. Plus, the BJP, frankly, does not have any conscience or democratic culture embedded within itself. So, sadly, the education minister has not been removed. He will not be removed, but the educational activist has been removed. Secondly, because of the unprecedented situation we are all in, we must collectively think of and experiment with disruptive tactics to outmaneuver the BJP as well as Prime Minister Modi. Frankly, it's very easy for the BJP to suppress or tarnish symbols like one person or 6 people from the left parties on a hunger strike. It is equally easy for the BJP to target one centralized site like Jantar Mantar. Consider, for example, the civil disobedience movement in the 1930s. Why did it succeed? And why was it potent even after Mahatma Gandhi and the Congress leadership were arrested en masse? The movement sustained itself because ordinary Indians were sensitized, socialized, and collectively agitated across the nation. The British Raj was overwhelmed because there were a multiplicity of mutinies across India. So the only way the BJP will go on the back foot is if we progressive can unleash a mass movement. For that, we need to go to the people, educate them, and make them fight for themselves. Because frankly, this is not one person or one party or one protester's fight. This is everyone's fight. This is what Leader of Opposition Rahul Gandhi and IYC and NSU are doing in 100+ cities across India. Those efforts complement the CJP and the left party's efforts in Jantar Mantar. Going forward, we need to think unitedly, fight unitedly, and rethink our operational methodologies. Now, finally, as Sitaram Yechuri used to keep saying, it is critical for us to have a functional secretariat which coordinates with all the India parties and with non-political stakeholders outside the formal organized political systems. This will go a long way in constructively channelizing our collective synergies and efforts. Unfortunately, I don't think that we have reached that yet. There is now a concerted effort from the CJP to replicate what Sonam Wangchuk is doing. But my fear is that we are again walking into the same trap that we have set for ourselves. These symbolic protests, they are cathartic to us progressives. I'm not denying that. And they are useful. But please consider that this is the BJP government. It is no longer the UPA government. The UPA government did not deploy the media to caricature and vilify protesters as anti-national. It did not. Shut down Jantar Mantar. In fact, it did not even circumscribe protesters into Jantar Mantar. It let them. It let protesters do protests across the country because it was a democratic culture. But this is not the Congress party. This is not the UPA government. This is the BJP government, and the BJP's culture is to suppress, is to appropriate, is to accommodate. And we need to be careful that we do not walk into the same trap that will emasculate the potency of our protests. We need to now creatively escalate this protest to the next level. How do we do that? As I said, this happens only if there is an organized secretariat between the India parties and the non-India stakeholders outside the organized political process. Back to you, Neeluji.
Right. Let me come to Rajlakshmi now. Rajlakshmi, what is the future of this cockroach party movement? Do you see this maybe with time it will get diffused, it will die down? Was this a conspiracy to just end this protest, somehow just get rid of all these elements from Jantar Mantar? How would one see that?
See, Neelu, I think that the crackdown, I think was sort of waiting to happen. I mean, I do not think that that the government and its home ministry, I think would have not deferred it, too long because it was gaining, momentum and lots of support, pouring in from various sections of. I think the SCBA, the Supreme Court Bar Association, also extended its support. So I'm saying that various sections. It was not, not just students, but you had filmmakers, you had activists of various hues, and then you had the opposition parties, coming in day after day over there to sit with Sonam Wangchuk and the rest of them who are on hunger strike and to extend the support. In fact, I'm told that even Sonia Gandhi today did say something that she extends her support to the to the protest movement, etc. So I think it was today I saw it. So I'm saying that the entire spectrum of the opposition has come out in support of this, and they have also said that that they were going to be part of the July 20th march to Parliament, and it's quite evident that the issue would have resonated in Parliament as well, because it's not that it would not have been raised by the MPs, etc. there. So I'm saying that this was sort of in a sense waiting to happen, and I think the call that was given by the CJP as well as by Mr. Wangchuk to everybody to assemble on July 20th in thousands, हजारों की तादाद में आइए, it was a call that was given, and he also said that I'm not going to I'm not going to die before July 20th. I'm fit and fine, and that nothing's going to happen to me before July 20th. So I have a feeling that somewhere there was a sense of unease that perhaps the July 20th thing could sort of metamorphose into a huge mobilization of some kind, and therefore this was like a preemptive step. But then I think I think that outrage it's going to happen because of the way it was done, because this entire camouflage and guerrilla tactics that the
No, but do you believe, Rajlakshmi, that this could backfire for the government? Like what Dipke said, that now if you diffuse the strike at Jantar Mantar, then you will see the entire country turning into a Jantar Mantar. In every nook and corner of every district, you will find a Jantar Mantar. Can this really backfire?
It will, but I think it will. I think it will depend, a lot on mobilization by political parties as well as their student, mass organizations. It's not going to happen on its own, So I think farmers joining in and different sections of society, in fact, joining in. It's not going to be an organic, spontaneous, kind of a thing, because police action is something that not everybody is sort of used to. Okay, I mean, I'm getting the to be a victim of let's say lathi charge, or in fact even be detained, where it becomes known that you've been detained, or if there's a case against you, etc. It's only, I think, hardened political activists and their strong sympathizers who can sort of who can be at the forefront, of this kind of this thing, mobilization. It can't be that the average student, I mean, of course, those students, I mean, are going to be affected, because obviously it is their futures, which is being talked about, which has been discussed today, isn't it? But I do not think that it's going to be very easy to have that, leap of faith to come and take part, in a protest where you see so many, policemen there, because all those, I think, visuals we also saw, it's not very easy for everybody to come and be sort of beaten up and be whisked and be dragged. Even I mean, even Dipke was crying. I mean, of course, it's very sad to see a grown up sort of man be very sort of overwhelmed by the whole thing. But then he was slapped, he was abused, he was dragged. He even said that even Sonam Wangchuk was dragged and he was abused. So it's not something easy for several people to face this kind of a situation. I mean, accepting, I think the mass organizations of, as I said, political parties here. I think the opposition has an opportunity, and they should,
Right.
I think, take it by the horns, as it were. Yeah.
Absolutely. But Puneet, coming to you, how difficult is it now going to be for Abhijeet Dipke and other Cockroach Party members to carry on with this protest? Because all said and done, Sonam Wangchuk was a much bigger face, and now he's staying away from the protest side. Is it going to be a big challenge for Dipke to continue?
Well, certainly. I think that is primarily what has encouraged the government to do what it has done today. That you remove Wangchuk from the equation, and the situation might just peter out. So that could be one of the calculations. I'm not saying that this is the reason, but politically, I think that makes sense to me. If you think the way the BJP thinks, that could be one of the factors, that encouraged the government to do this today. Now, whether it happens exactly that way or not, we'll know, between today and tomorrow and the day after, because they have not called off the march of 20th of July, the march to Parliament, that Chalo Sansad call that they had given. So a lot will also depend on the kind of mobilization that they're able to get on the 20th of July. Because let's be honest, the kind of mobilization you would have got with a Sonam Wangchuk at the forefront is not what you may get with just an Abhijeet Dipke at the forefront. Now, with the current scenario where, there has been a lot of anger, a lot of angry response to the manner in which Wangchuk was removed, whether it was wise of the government to do it, we'll have to wait and see. But this manner in which Mr. Wangchuk was removed from there could encourage more people to turn up on the 20th. But then the point is whether you can sustain it beyond the 20th, because there may still be a lot of people who will have doubts about Abhijeet Dipke. Plus, now this statement that the BJP and the centre has tried to make of a brute crackdown, how many people, as TK was just talking about, how many people would actually want to take that risk of going to a venue and getting lathi charged or beaten up or water cannoned or whatever, So beyond the march of July 20, the protest march of July 20, how much can they sustain? That we'll have to wait and see. And, what kind of mobilization the 20th July protest march gets, that we'll need to see. And then let's also see what is the conviction of the CJP guys, in terms of how they take this protest forward. As I had said earlier, that when this hunger strike started, there are a lot of people who perhaps were a bit disillusioned, angry, unhappy, particularly not charmed by the fact that for a CJP protest, the CJP chief and the main faces of the CJP, whether it is Saurav Das or this Ranka fellow or that Dahiya boy, none of them decided to join Sonam's hunger strike and kept making, these kind of things that, no, if we join the hunger strike, who is going to organize the protest and stuff like that. And so you were using Sonam Wangchuk as a force multiplier for your own protest.
Yes.
That is how a lot of people saw the whole thing and were not particularly happy. After all of this, now that Mr. Dipke has said that he is sitting on a hunger strike, now, as I said, we'll have to wait and see how this pans out. Whether this hunger strike is going to be a 48-hour thing where he says, okay, the protest march to parliament is over and so I'm withdrawing from the strike now, or whether he can continue beyond the 20th. Because why I say this also is because a lot of the political leaders who went and met Mr. Wangchuk over the last 2 to 3 days, some of whom I did manage to speak to on what conversations they had with Mr. Wangchuk, they did say that Sonam Wangchuk hinted, maybe not in so many words, didn't say so, but hinted that after the 20th of July march, the protest thing to parliament, he will call off his strike and then leave it to the opposition and, the CJP and the people to kind of carry on the protest in whichever manner, they can come up with. But there was a hint that his hunger strike was anyway going to conclude on the 20th. So now that today's developments have happened, we'll have to wait and see how the CJP reacts, how Dipke reacts, how, Saurav Das, Ashutosh Ranka, all these kids involved, how they react. And let's also not forget, Neelu, let's also not forget those kids from ISA who've been sitting there on hunger strike. I'm told one of them today was in a very bad state, was almost unconscious, and has now been moved to the hospital. I don't know whether he's been taken to Safdarjung or to Ram Manohar Lohia, but he has been removed from the site. And that tells you what a joke and a tragic joke it is, what happened this morning. That this boy who's been sitting on a hunger strike, nobody cares. The police came and whisked away Sonam Wangchuk, whose vitals were stable, and left this boy there. If it was not for the ISA people sitting there, they won't have had anybody to call the hospital, to call for an ambulance to get this boy moved to a hospital.
No, but I had another question, Puneet, that what everyone assumes is that it was Abhijeet Dipke who was organizing the entire movement, mobilizing things, and the few team members he had, they were the ones. Now, nobody knows who is funding this movement. Now, are we going to see this movement turning into what we saw during the Olympian protest also? Is it going that way now? With Sonam Wangchuk staying away, what is the fate you see? Like what you said, that Sonam Wangchuk had already hinted that post 20th, he was anyways going to call off the strike. So are we going to see Dipke continue with the, I think these are the fresh visuals, just a short while back, an hour back, where somebody threw ink at Abhijeet Dipke while he was interacting. Look at those visuals. While he was speaking, and there were some people who threw ink at him. Puneet, you'd like to comment on this?
Yeah, I believe there was a girl in the crowd who threw ink at Dipke. So that's the visual that you have on the screen right now. But to get back to your question, Neelu, it's pointless for us to be now, after a month of this whole protest, be still pondering over who is funding it and all. Of course, those questions are still very relevant and stuff. But given today's development, and given the fact that over the last 20 odd days of Sonam Wangchuk's own hunger strike, a lot of the focus had shifted from the actual reason for the protest to the hunger strike. So it was all it all boiled down to whether Dharmendra Pradhan is going to resign or not, when Sonam Wangchuk is going to break his fast. So let's now use this moment to also reflect on the actual cause for the protest. And it goes beyond the CJP, it goes beyond Sonam Wangchuk's hunger strike. It's bigger than these people, these individuals, which is the examination system, the education system, the malaise that, that's there, and the rot that has, set in with this entire education system, the number of children who've lost lives by suicide because their examination papers had leaked and they simply gave up. So let's bring that back into focus. Instead of thinking, what is Dipke going to do next? Or is Mr. Wangchuk going to return from hospital and start his hunger strike again? It's now, at least now, a time to reflect on what to do on the more substantive issues involved here, how to take that forward and not have individuals overshadow the actual, reasons for unhappiness, for problems, for challenges to the children, all of that.
Right. I'll take the concluding comments from Rajlakshmi that, the same thing that how successfully now can this movement continue? Will it be able to continue? Will it die down? Nobody knows. But, the pressure on the government and what Puneet pointed out, that the larger question why this protest began, that has not been dealt with. And nobody is hopeful that Dharmendra Pradhan is going to resign or the government is going to come out with some very credible answers on this. Nobody is sure of that. So where does it take this movement now? Really, and the same question that without a leader, every movement needs a leader. A leaderless movement, normally, like Shaheen Bagh, of course, was one exception where we saw that the leaders were not there, but just the assimilation and the gathering of the women, how it panned out and it became a big success. But without the presence of a leader now, how do you see the fate of this movement continuing? And will government budge?
Yeah, yeah. See, Neelu, I do not think that the entire issue sort of hinged on, on Dipke's as well as Sonam, Wangchuk's continuing the hunger strike, because obviously it could not have continued beyond the point unless one has decided that one is going to give up one's life. But as Puneet says, that Sonam Wangchuk, he did sort of convey this to some of the opposition party leaders, that he would call it off, and it made perfect sense, because you have to live to fight another day, right? So you can't just sort of give up your life like that. So I think it was a sensible call, all said and done. But the government, having sort of preempted that, has, I think, perhaps landed itself in a greater mess, I think, and it's not going to be easy for it to sort of either sort of justify the swooping action that it did, today morning, because obviously there would be some anger, and that anger amongst the students has to be worked upon, has to be capitalized, isn't it? And I do not think, again, as I said, it does not hinge on a leader or let's say B leader. It has to be a more cohesive approach, and the issues have to be taken forward in the interests of the students of our country, and in the interests of the people of our country, because education is a huge sector which has become a business of sorts. It's sort of corporatized, it's sort of commercialized, it's communalized also, as I said, and hugely centralized, which is also a reason for all these things happening, paper leaks, etc., outsourcing tests, outsourcing of education itself, in a sense, and the government's abdication, okay, complete abdication when it comes to addressing the systemic issues that confront education. But on the other hand, we have a government which is super active, when it comes to stifling, protests of this kind, right? So I think that a lot will sort of depend on how the opposition parties come, together and keep this issue alive. Okay, the issue needs to be kept alive, and it does not need a centralized, kind of a leader to sort of steer this. It's already happening. Okay, the anger is sort of there, is genuine among the students. It has to be sort of worked upon. It has to be worked upon, of course, in democratic means. using democratic means of protest, as this one was. So it has to sort of continue in some form. So it's not that that because Dipke came into the picture, or maybe Sonam Wangchuk came into the picture, that the issue sort of got sort of highlighted. It was always there. The suicide, of course, of 20 students was the immediate trigger, and it was a huge thing to happen in a country which the government has not been contrite about at all. If it had been contrite, and if it had been truly repentant about what has happened, it would have really set up some kind of a system to sort of look into this entire thing, and to completely overhaul the NEP, because NEP has to go essentially. Yeah.
All right, so we'll have to wait and watch how things unfold. I'm sure there'll be a lot of developments over the day today and what's going to happen tomorrow. And of course, 20th July is the day when the parliament session, the monsoon session of parliament also starts. And that's also the day when Chalo Sansad March is going to be organized. Who all joined that march? That's also another question, because a call had been given to all the opposition parties. In fact, some farmer leaders also had visited Jantar Mantar, and they had promised support to Sonam Wangchuk at that point of time. So how many farmers join in, and how big can this movement now really become? Will it extend to the other parts of the country? That is something to wait and see, really. Thank you so much, Raj Lakshmi. Puneet, thank you very much for joining.